Trailblazers from the Astral Express? Oh, please excuse me. I struggle to think of an appropriate way of addressing. I've already made the necessary preparations. Be careful. We did pass the safety inspection stipulated by Article 027 damage ferrets and Article 066. However, this dreamscape will feature unfiltered and unpolished fresh memory. Veteran gamer. Call this type of dream a thrill dream. I don't know if you're into that kind of thing. Luckily, I just so happen to be an excellent doctor. Albeit a psychiatric one. Oh yes, I nearly forgot. That elegant girl mentioned something before she left.
The nature of this memory is special. Don't ruin the dreamscape experience for anyone else by spoiling the ending. In my estimation, there is no question about it. This is murder.
Murder. Such a foreign word to us. The people of Penacony could never come to any harm while under the watchful protection of the family. In a dream, even if you're bashed 1,000 times with a hammer, and worst, you'll still wake up in reality in a hotel.
Necessarily. Even if the result does not constitute harm, the criminal intent is clear enough. You specifically came here to cordon off the scene because of the unsavory nature of this case.
You're not wrong. Even if there are no casualties, being smashed over the head with a hammer in the middle of the street for no reason at all. This is not the kind of thing that happens on Penacony. You are guests of the Oak family, so you may investigate the crime scene. I'll be on standby over here.
Are you a witch? Just how did you manage to convince them in the blink of an eye that we're some kind of detectives?
Just some suggestions at the memory level. If something happens in everybody's memory, then that something becomes a fact, rather than hearing endless explanations. Would you like to experience it for yourself?
No, no, no! Hey, you can save that for the enemy.
Then, on to the next order of business. Let's just...
Memo Keeper of the Garden of Recollection. I've been watching you for quite some time. You stole a glance at me when you first entered the hotel. You followed me wherever I went inside the dreamscape. My dear, do you have a crush on me? I left a puzzle for you near OT Mall. Solve it and prove that you're capable of pleasing me. Don't leave me waiting, my dear.
There's actually more than one memo keeper who's come to Penacony. She's mixed me up with someone else. The address that the mask gave you is right here. But you never would have thought that when Miss Sparkle mentioned a game, she was talking about wanton slaughter on the streets of Penacony. Such a direct act of provocation is enough to get my competitive side worked up too.
Madam, forgive me. I had no idea about anything she said. As you saw, I went through a brain scan and I'm just a friend, helping her deliver a letter. That's all. I never knew this was actually a declaration of warfare.
What a frightened look you have. Don't worry. Since this has nothing to do with you, I won't be suspecting you of anything.
Oh, seems like I can't escape being an assistant detective.
If there's anything you'd like to know, please ask away.
Where's Mr. Shamari right now?
I'm afraid you can't. The Oaks came forward and calmed him down. Mr. Shamari expressed that he understands the unpredictable nature of dreams. Best not to bother him.
Oh, I'm afraid by the time we find him, half of Penacony will have been sent back to reality by Sparkle.
Looks like we'll have to play this little game of sparkles then.
Lady Black Swan, you're here! I'm the constable, and this here assisting me is the bailiff for this case.
Mr. Cold Feet, why'd you do it?
So they can talk after all.
Don't interrupt, I wasn't talking to you. Ahem. I understand Lady Black Swan has quite the intellect.
The Sparkle murder case? Wasn't the victim Shamari from the IPC?
You're wrong, Lady Black Swan. The victim is evidently none other than the matriarch of the Goldhammer family, Miss Sparkle Goldhammer.
Oh, I guess Miss Sparkle has written herself into the skit here, and this has nothing to do with the actual case.
Never heard of it. Sounds made up.
Miss Sparkle was supposed to receive 3 valiant warriors at the Goldhammer residence today, but upon their arrival, all they found was her body. Miss Sparkle had been smashed over the head by a hammer and died on the spot. Such a brutal act of violence.
My investigations discovered that the 3 warriors were supposed to escort supplies back to their territory the day before, but they were unexpectedly ambushed by the Annihilation Gang. They narrowly escaped and barely got away with their lives, finding their supplies almost completely raided. So they all shared a motive for killing Miss Sparkle: to escape punishment.
So the 3 of them teamed up to kill her.
Is the case closed?
No, there can only be one murderer. It's not an unsolved mystery if there are 3 murderers.
If you can't justify it,
Got it! Those 3 were all vying against each other to be number 2. They couldn't have cooperated on anything.
that actually doesn't make much sense.
Please begin your investigation, Lady Black Swan. There are lots of clues at the crime scene that are sure to help you apprehend them.
I've got the case file right here. If you want to learn more about the suspects, talk to me. Lady Black Swan, allow me to introduce the 3 suspects to you. Lefton, Zhongshan, and Wright. Lefton is one of Miss Sparkle's chief lieutenants, whose right hand was unfortunately severed while he was valiantly fighting off the Annihilation Gang. Then there's Zhongshan. This guy's a coward who ran away as soon as a group spotted some bandits along the road. Last of all comes Wright. This guy was so insatiably greedy that he still came back to try and embezzle the rest of the supplies after they narrowly escaped with their lives.
Hang on, I'm confused here. Left on? Right?
What? Where did you get that idea from? Do you need me to go over it all again?
That won't be necessary. I've memorized every detail.
No wonder you're a memo keeper.
This hammer is super heavy.
Miss Sparkle also used it to attack Mr. Shamari.
I'm barely able to lift this using both hands. I have no idea how Sparkle could ever use this to hit a target. Look, an ID card. Talent Motivation Department, Shamari.
Mr. Shamari's belongings should have disappeared alongside him as he woke from the dreamscape. The fact that this ID is here means Miss Sparkle placed it here on purpose.
Is that all the evidence? How are we meant to solve this with so little to go on? Oh, you scared me!
The two pieces of evidence that you found are related to the attack on Shamari. Miss Sparkle didn't leave them lying around for no reason, but there are still some other clues that were placed in other areas, so they won't spoil the crime scene.
Isn't that a bit unnecessary?
No. It's disruptive to have a stack of irrelevant things crowding a crime scene.
Seems quite nice of her, if you ask me.
Looks like Miss Sparkle is adding a little spice to the investigation. What's this little device here for?
Don't push it, Lady Black Swan. Whatever you do, don't push it. That's the mutually assured destruction button that Miss Sparkle installed. Miss Sparkle also has her own button.
That sounds like both buttons can do the exact same thing.
Correct.
Oh,
Aren't you going to ask me why?
okay. Why?
Because she is there.
This is nuts!
What's this?
Regardless of why it's designed to look like the conductor aboard the Astral Express,
Have you ever heard of something called a red herring in detective stories?
I see. But when it's so obvious, doesn't that defeat the purpose?
That's just in case you didn't realize the ingenuity of Miss Sparkle and...
I see. Thank you for your keen insight.
You don't have to play along that hard, you know.
Just notice. Seems like a hint for us from Miss Sparkle.
That sounded like a story from ancient times.
This is so her style. Doesn't look like there are any more clues.
Next, should we pin down the identity of the perpetrator? Lefton, that guy lost his hand. Remember Zhongshan's face was disfigured after the incident at the cliff? I remember this one best. Right has a broken leg.
Why don't we flip the question and start by asking who couldn't be the murderer?
If you put it like that, then do you already have someone in mind? So, who remember Zhongshan's face was disfigured after...
Poor guy. He was seriously injured and was all wrapped up in bandages to keep his good looks safe. That would suggest that Zhongshan is not the murderer.
So, who exactly? Lefton, that guy lost his hand. Oh, is that so?
Based on the bailiff's statement, Lefton's dominant hand was seriously injured to the point where he had to learn how to live using only his left hand. Lefton's suspicion level can be downgraded.
By process of elimination, it seems that only Right could be the murderer.
Please begin your investigation, Lady Black Swan.
The murderer is Right.
You have answered correctly! As expected, you didn't disappoint, Lady Black Swan.
Huh? The next puzzle?
Looks like the key to winning lies not in the puzzle itself, but in the...
I have to remind you that Sparkle is a masked fool?
That's exactly what I plan on doing. Even if it's just subjective, there must be an overall principle behind the behavior. Right now, let's follow her train of thought and head to the next puzzle.
So why are you so focused on Sparkle's challenge? Or should I ask, are you more focused on Sparkle herself?
I told you, it's purely out of a spirit of competitiveness. And as a memo keeper, I also have to fulfill my responsibilities and harvest some interesting memories.
Whoa, this place is a complete mess. And those two weirdos are probably here too.
Oh, Detective Black Swan and Detective Sampo.
We don't know what we'd do without your help.
Why are you talking like that?
Is there something wrong with the way we are talking?
Oh, of course not, Sheriff. The way you talk is no stranger than the cat that climbs the apple tree in my grandma's backyard.
Huh. The skit this time is a modernist one.
Let's discuss this difficult case then.
Her again? Sparkle really is obsessed with scripting her own death.
Oh, for the laughter. If you undercut me one more time, Miss Sparkle came to the fashion store to buy herself a brand new tie. After a long time, the shopkeeper went in to see what was going on. But instead, discovered Miss Sparkle's body. There were 3 suspects on the scene. Namely, a Pepeshi shopkeeper named Wright, a Foxian gambler named Zhongshan, and a wealthy Intellitron trader called Lefton.
Our old friends.
It's not just to aid your memory. We've added more descriptions to help tell them apart.
Miss Sparkle is so gracious.
Based on surveillance footage, witness testimony, and various pieces of evidence, the killer is ultimately among these 3, and they...
You're too lazy to be a suspect.
Oh, for the laughter! If I talk any more with you, it'll make my pure soul filthy!
Detective Black Swan, the dossiers are over here. You can learn more about the suspects from me. Let me introduce the identities of these suspects to you. It's very straightforward. First of all is the shopkeeper, Wright.
He's one of the Papashi people and only stands as tall as Sparkle's waist. Next up, you have the merchant Lefton. He wants to join up with the Penacony Trading Guild and is in direct competition with Miss Sparkle. Finally, there is the gambler Zhongshan. He lost a bet to Miss Sparkle, and he had to hand over his family heirloom. That's all the information we have.
That won't be necessary. There's an accounting book lying on the ground.
On the title page is written Chen Katong.
This Jian Katong person should be Sparkle's targeted victim this time around. And there's the tie.
That skit before said that the deceased was strangled.
The tag on the tie reads, "Only for Imperial Master Lefton."
That's not how you use the word. So, it's just like the first case then.
Miss Sparkle doesn't want to distract your investigation.
She doesn't want to distract our investigation? Stool that seems quite...
The footprints, which are half as big as standard.
Perhaps it's just that this person's drawing skills are extraordinary. That smell?
Mr. Sampo, take a look.
Somebody save me from this cringe joke.
Even among the fools I know, Miss Sparkle...
Have you dealt with...
No, only a handful. Open it up.
Because this ring was found inside the victim's mouth.
In the victim's mouth?
Hey, there's something engraved inside the ring.
That should be it.
Let's head out.
I have to thank you, Mr. Assistant Detective. But the puzzle this time is pretty strange.
Have you found out who the killer is?
Just some shallow intuition. Anyway,
Oh, for the laughter! Didn't think I'd be seeing Detective Black Swan so soon.
Pretty much.
You live up to your reputation, Detective Black Swan.
This guy is mixing up his birds here.
Then go ahead. Who is the killer? And what... Good. Then let us appreciate your powers of deduction. See this guy? Zhongshan is a card shark who used to play Get the Koi with Miss Sparkle.
This ring is a piece of evidence, right?
That's right! That's the one! What would a penniless wretch of a gambler like Zhongshan be doing at such a fancy fashion store as this? He'd stolen Lefton's tie and was just about to get away when he saw Miss Sparkle, the one who had stolen his family fortune from him. Who could have known that Miss Sparkle would end up swallowing that ring? What a tragedy! If it weren't for your incisive detective work, the murderer would still be at large.
Is something wrong here?
As you can imagine, the conclusions that the evidence points to are not mutually exclusive. Mr. Assistant Detective.
Ah, I see.
Correct, Detective Sampo! I never thought you'd be able to deduce the truth.
Sheriff, the murderer is right!
Yes! For the laughter, how did I fail to realize this formidable intellect of yours?
Then, right from the start, there was no murderer!
Goodness me! Deputy Sheriff, is he really a genius?
Ugh.
Look, Miss Sparkle has given us a puzzle where every single answer is correct.
Why take it so seriously? Anyway, since our genius detective Black Swan has cracked the case...
So that's it? This is just going to go on and on forever?
Then I wish you both the best. Oh, yes.
Just as you said, solving puzzles is all just a cover for something else. That girl is toying with us. What should we do now? Just keep getting led around.
Miss Black Swan, Mr. A murder in a locked...
As expected.
Yesterday, my assistant and I were visiting the famed artist Miss Sparkle, and the butler, Zhongshan, said that the door was locked from inside. So as soon as I heard, I knew something must have happened. The room was covered in spattered blood. Miss Sparkle's body was lying right in the middle, her face white as snow. Thinking quickly, I grabbed the artist's canvas to staunch Miss Sparkle's blood. Besides us and Zhongshan, the butler, Lefton the cook, and Wright the driver were also at the scene of the crime.
Presumably, Miss Sparkle is now carefully arranging the next crime. So why don't you skip all this rigmarole and just have a heart-to-heart conversation with me?
Wait up! Wait up!
Honest kid.
No cheating!
Huh. Mr. Assistant Detective. You seem to be getting anxious.
No, it's... This locked room murder case is pretty fun.
Let's go.
Hey, Miss Black Swan, wait up! Wait up! Miss Sparkle has one final message to announce. Ding-a-ling! Now comes the most exciting and romantic moment in any drama. The audience challenge. Everyone knows that the mighty masked fool Sparkle can change her appearance to look like others. And in this drama, the villain Sparkle has disguised herself as another character. So then, I put to you, which character is it? Also, if you're interested in the locked room case that the memo keeper ignored, you can try out your powers of deduction. I put lots into coming up with the puzzle, so don't let it go to waste. Thus, the masked genius Miss Sparkle has thrown down the gauntlet. All the clues are in motion. Happy hunting!
Miss, why didn't you just do this earlier?
Such a crude approach violates my aesthetics of memory. But as a means to an end, I need to put this aside for a more indifferent process.
There's no weird, sweet dreams troop. Nor is there evidence strewn all over the place.
Hey, dear memo keeper, Mr. Coldfeet. You made it. I didn't expect you to skip the final puzzle. That's on me. All right. Miss Sparkle cares not for the faults of ants like me. Listen up. What creature has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon?
No murder case.
Sometimes it's nice to take things easy.
Seeing as you're right here in front of me like this, then I guess the answer is a trash can.
Womp womp. The correct answer is Sparkle. When sleepy in the morning, she can't get out of bed. She runs so naturally. She's got 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon.
What the heck was that jibber-jabber?
What a cute answer.
Thanks for the compliment, my dear. But you can't try to fool me, seeing as you've just tried to cheat.
What do you want to know? Your fate is dead. Existence is meaningless.
I see through you. Together as one. Humans, creations.
Destiny. Stand still.
Eternal. May as well kill. Good times. Time to say bye. Boom.
Holy smokes! What's up with this guy?
Huh? No voices? This guy's pretty quiet.
Wait. Don't move. Something's off.
Miss, you killed Sparkle! How is this possible? How can people die inside Penacony's dreamscape?
You did this, didn't you? Killing people in their dreams.
Only the Remembrance has the powers to do that.
Oh, I understand. You refused to let me go because you wanted to drag me into all of this.
There is no death inside Penacony's dreamscape. That's the promise of the family and the blessing of the harmony. Not even a memo keeper can break this barrier. There's no need to take such great pains.
Miss Sparkle!
You. Sparkle has disguised herself as another character.
This? Don't jump to conclusions! If you want to accuse me of being Sparkle, you have to provide the evidence. Oh, I'm afraid evidence is a little too hard to come by.
The hint for the final question was a little too obvious.
Oh, you mean the locked room murder? I thought you weren't doing that one.
All the painstaking effort that Miss Sparkle put into it. How could I ever miss it? The key to solving the puzzle lay in 2 pieces of information put forward by the detectives. First, the large splatter of blood at the crime scene. Based on my shallow understanding, I can only draw 2 conclusions. One is that the murderer did not need to create a locked room case, but based on the detective's description, this locked room did not delay the discovery of the body. There was no third party at the crime scene to frame. That being so, the murderer seems to have no reason for creating a locked room. There is also reason to speculate that if the crime scene was a locked room, then its creator might not necessarily be the murderer. As for my second conclusion, it's even more obvious still. When everyone broke into the scene of the crime, why did the assistant rush off to staunch the blood? The answer is simple. It's because the assistant detective is the murderer. At the time, I was in such a hurry that I didn't hear the whole mystery. identical piece of information, he realized that the victim had created their own locked room mystery. That's why he had to rush to the crime scene as soon as possible, to confirm whether or not the victim left any evidence implicating him. Of course, this is just a simple mind game. The answer to the puzzle isn't important. Miss Sparkle just wanted to pass on one hint to me. That the murderer is the assistant detective, which means it's you, Mr. Sampo.
Has anyone ever told you that you're more like a detective than a memo keeper?
In my opinion, there is no difference between the two. Follow ripples along the surface of the water. Use some abilities and tricks to keep diving deeper, and touch that secret deep inside people's hearts. The truth does not lie.
Exquisite reasoning, and very close to the truth. But I have another answer.
Another answer?
The great artiste Sparkle locked herself away in her bedroom, using red paint to create the semblance of spattered blood everywhere. Was not the murderer, but rather an accomplice who assisted her in faking her own death.
What a pity. Such a pity. My dear, you were so close to the right answer. Miss Sparkle's body. Sparkle was disguised as Sparkle's body. Ding-a-ling! I won!
Does Miss Sparkle's body even count as a real character?
Why not?
This Mr. Sampo, then?
Beautiful lady, I already confessed everything to you earlier on. I really didn't know a thing.
So I've been running a fool's errand this whole time.
My dear, why so serious? Haven't you been having a great time? You take the memories, and I get joy. We get what we need from each other. Seeing as we're such kindred spirits, but also such loners. Why don't you come and...
Oh? Am I understanding this correctly?
A show of unprecedented splendor is about to be staged in Penacony. If you're too late to take the stage, you can work behind the scenes. If you want to appreciate this drama, you have to stand up under that spotlight as you take the stage and watch the dancing envelop you. Come with me. This is the best seat in the house.
I don't really understand why you're so fixated on destroying family barriers. But, as I said before, a memo keeper can't help you. Also, I don't consider you a loner. Oh, I don't mean him, but rather behind you. The one who hired you to come to Penacony probably doesn't want you secretly linking up with other forces.
How did you know?
Memory is like the deep blue sea.
So, you mean you're refusing? Memo Keeper, did you think you could just leave?
Why not?
My dear, I don't want to scare you. You'll know the answer sooner or later. We're just getting to know each other a little today. If you ever change your mind, come find me at the tavern. That is, if you can find me. Let's go, Sampo? Sampo. Who is... Sampo?
This is Bellabog, right?
I said, why not? Don't worry. Such a crude approach violates my aesthetics of memory. So once you leave my sight, you'll be able to remember everything again. And also, I'm sorry, my dear. My dream dance partner? I've already got sights on someone else.
What a special girl this has been. That's the end of me. I understand, but I also... my things are now a treat.
Really? I wouldn't do anything to her.
Don't worry about that, Memo Keeper. Let's talk about my thing. I've helped you out with shouldn't you give my...
Since when did the masked fools... Just kidding. I loved seeing that look on your face. Take this key to the tavern cellar. Third barrel on the left. You know. But Sampo, after all this time, what made you suddenly want to take back your mask? Let me guess. A catastrophe is coming to Urello 6.
Well, no comment about that. But I love that line you said. If you're too late to take the stage, you can work behind the scenes. That really makes sense. Sometimes even an old-timer like me feels like taking the stage and making a fool out of myself.
If you're all out of options, please get in touch with me. I'm the